Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Test, Learn, Grow, the Level Agency podcast that is focused on marketing and really thought leadership across the sphere of marketing and strategic management in general. I am incredibly excited to welcome our next guest. This is a part of the Executive Leadership Series in Education, sponsored by Complete You, that we're in the process of bringing to market. I am incredibly grateful and honored to welcome Dr. Chris Brussalis, who is the recently named president at Point Park University. Dr. Brussalis, in addition to being the president at Point Park, has served for over 30 years in higher education at the Heinz College at Carnegie Mellon as an adjunct professor. And he has also been the chairman of the Hill Group, a national management consulting firm. So Chris has an incredibly dynamic background, and he is looking to take on some of the challenges that we all face in higher education in some really interesting ways. So Chris, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Dave. Really appreciate the opportunity.
Fantastic. We couldn't be more excited to have you. As a native Pittsburgher, I'm incredibly inspired by how you're thinking about the university and its impact on the future economic vitality of our region. And we will get into that as we get into the substance of the podcast here. But first, just wanted to allow you to kind of introduce yourself to our listeners and talk a little bit about kind of your own personal story as it relates to your business background and even your path to higher education.
Yeah, so I've been a long-time management consultant, about 32 years in that industry. The longtime CEO of the Hill Group, which is a national management consulting firm. Then the last several years, trying to semi-retire as chairman of that firm. So I got into the whole thing back in graduate school. I was taking a class at the University of Illinois. I took a class called Management Consulting, had no clue what the words meant. It was just the most popular course in our school of business. So I took that class, absolutely loved what I was doing, and I had an outstanding professor, Tom Trone, who I'm still friends with to this day. And I got into it. After I got out of graduate school, I put up a shingle. And I also started teaching at the Heinz College. It was called the School of Urban and Public Affairs back then, which became the Heinz College of Information Systems and Management. And started back then 32 years ago. So it's been fun. Primarily a practitioner with my management consulting firm, then part-time as a professor at Carnegie Mellon. It's been a fun ride.
So the intersection between learning and teaching and business, I think, is really pretty fascinating. Can you just talk to me a little bit about just some of your early influences? You mentioned a teacher at the University of Illinois. Who are some of the folks that really inspired you to have such a kind of a divergent set of interests as it relates to your career?
Yeah, I think Tom was one who really showed me, that profession, that industry really was a convergence of a lot of things that I was interested in. I love working with people. I love solving problems. I like working in complex situations, complex organizations. So that was a perfect path for me. And then another, mentor I had early on in my career, probably 1 year after putting up my shingle, I met this guy named George Hill, and my company's the Hill Group, and met George at a dinner party of all the class reunion chairs at Allegheny College at the president's house. I was the chair of the 5-year reunion class, and George Hill was class of 42, and at the time the chair of the 50-year reunion class. And he had 3 companies he was selling, and one was a management consulting firm with about 50 professionals. So back in the day, that was considered a pretty big firm. That was before the big, national accounting firms kind of got into it. And so he's on his way out to the profession, on my way in. We hit it off. And the next thing you know, my small little company is a sub to his firm. And then I quickly affiliated with that firm, then merged with that firm. Then several years later, bought out my partners. But, what an incredible opportunity. So, I'm right out of grad school, young kid. And, here I'm, in a boardroom with the chairman of Rubbermaid, and I don't know what the word vendor means, right? And I'm having these opportunities. At the time, Rubbermaid was George Hill's firm's one of his big clients. That was when Rubbermaid was Fortune magazine's best managed, most admired corporation, and we were one of their prime management consultants. So I had an opportunity to cut my teeth in about every Rubbermaid facility in North America, plus some other, very high quality clients. And so that was, a heck of an opportunity for me. And I attribute a lot of my my successes and the fun I've had to those two mentors in particular.
Wow. Well, and in the Allegheny College roots, when I think about even the reason we're having this conversation today, we have a mutual friend in John Meyer, who's the CEO at Complete You. I know John considers you to be somebody who's been a mentor in his professional life, a fellow Allegheny College alum, and he's a friend of mine. So I think that's one of the things I do love about Pittsburgh and just mentorship in general. I think you oftentimes find that your worlds collide with good people, and it's incredible the impact that somebody that takes an interest in you at such a important stage in your life, personal or professional, what a big impact that can make, right?
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
And I imagine, not to put words in your mouth, but I imagine that's probably part of what got you involved in teaching, in addition to being involved in consulting and helping people through your business.
Yeah, I mean, I've always I love teaching, and I've always been interested in higher education. As a student, and then for 32 years at Carnegie Mellon. I think for me, I love it. Teaching keeps me young. It forces me to stay current, in that industry and in the topic matter and the discipline. And I think also when you teach, you become a better practitioner. And so, I've gotten so much value out of it over the years. Then the final thing, it gives you an opportunity to give back. When other people have mentored both of us, and we've had some successes along the way through through those experiences, people taking interest in us, giving us advice, and so it's a great feeling to be able to give back.
Absolutely. And so talk to me just a little bit about, it sounds like your consultancy began to do work in higher education, and just in talking to you and getting to know you a little bit, that's kind of what brought you to Point Park, right?
That's right. Yeah. I mean, so I think our consulting firm, we were focused in, large corporate work, large institutions, healthcare, and nonprofits and governments. And we really got into higher ed, probably doing a little work in higher ed, but the thing that really pulled me into higher ed, at a greater extent, was one of my clients, Tom Golonsky, Tom's another mentor of mine. Tom was my client at Integra Bank, and then he was the CEO of National City Bank of Pennsylvania, which was acquired by PNC. So Tom was the
employer of mine, so I'm very familiar. Yeah.
All right. So Tom was the CEO of that bank. He was also chairman of the board at Point Park. He said, Chris, I think we have I'm the board chair of this university. I think we have some opportunities to grow and take things to a whole nother level. Would you take a look? And that's how I got involved with Point Park, probably over 20 some years ago. And so over the years, our firm did most of the strategy work for Point Park, many of the strategic plans over the years, developing this. I worked closely with Dr. Hennigan, who was a longtime president here. Paul was CFO, CFO for the city. Then he was CFO for the university for several years, then a longtime president, I think about 16 years. And so our firm worked closely with Paul and his team, a lot of the growth of the university. And so that's been, really, really exciting. But I think that my background is a management consultant, working with numerous industries and numerous types of organizations over the years, from private sector, large corporate private sector, large institutions, nonprofits, governments. I think gives you, such a great breadth and depth, that, you have a lot of experiences to bring to this very complex industry of higher education. And so it's been, I think, very helpful having that background.
And Chris, from a teaching perspective, and keep me honest on my facts, but in the work that you did through the Heinz School, there was an emphasis on economic development, was there not?
Yeah, I've done a lot of work over the years, and I've had an interest in economic development, regional economic development, done a lot of research. And also, I've been involved as a civic leader in this community for the last 3 decades as well. And so a lot of my work professionally and also volunteer has been kind of focused in that area.
So successful business person, adjunct professor, you're 30 years into that. I know a lot of folks start to think about shifting gears, right? And maybe, I don't want to call it be retired, but have a different definition of work-life balance, right? So you're on the board at Point Park. President decides he's going to step down. Take me into that a little bit. Early stages of this year, you get involved as the interim president. How does that happen?
Yeah, so it's funny. So I was starting to take those steps the last couple of years. I started to semi-retire, right? I was busy every day, but I don't know exactly what I was accomplishing every day. But I focused more and more of my time in civic initiatives, board work. I was on a number of boards, number of national boards, and on Point Park's board, leadership of the board, and about to become the next board chair. And we had to make a change. We need a new president. So, my colleagues on the board, asked me if I would consider this. And, I always had in the back of my mind that, I had an interest of going into higher education near the end of my career, maybe more full-time or more dedication to it just because I loved it. But I think it was a really nice opportunity unfolded before us, because I think that the stars kind of aligned, with the challenges, particularly in our sector. I mean, the challenges across all higher ed, across all sectors, but in our sector, the private nonprofit sector of higher education is particularly challenged in the Northeast of the United States as well, just because there's a loss of traditional age students. There's a demographic shift going on. So there are some of those challenges in the marketplace. And then I think the skill sets that I bring to bear of having, expertise in higher ed, significant expertise in higher ed administration, my expertise and experience in regional economic development, and just being a civic leader, been around here for 3 decades. I have some pretty significant networks. I know people and get things done. I just think it was is an opportunity for everyone. Plus, my wife was very pleased because she got me out of the house.
Well, that's a critical stakeholder in all of this, right?
That's right. Probably
So
most important.
So over the summer, you're formally named the 9th president at Point Park University. And I like, in a very Pittsburgh way, you're talking about right time, right place, right moment. But, you're doing it in such a manner where it's very understated. It seems like you are the right person for the moment. And when I think about your background and some of the challenges that a university like Point Park is facing, that's something that really stands out to me, as you know, certainly as you and I have spent some time together the past couple of weeks. But talk to me a little bit about the vision you have for the future of Point Park University.
Yeah, I think it's, I think it's pretty exciting. Again, this opportunity I think has unfolded and the stars have kind of aligned. So we've just gone through a process over the last 18 months, and I became interim president in February and then named permanent president at the end of July. And so I kind of finished off this planning process. And, we've really doubled down on, a major concept, which is critical to our mission. And it's, we are all about inspiring creativity and imagination in students through experiential learning. That is our sweet spot, all to advance society. And we're embracing the fact that we are the downtown university. And so that's the that's the apex of this, that we feel that we have an opportunity to significantly grow this university, have more impact back to our community, back to society, and while doing that, have an opportunity to be a major player in revitalizing the downtown. So I feel, and many others, that post-pandemic, downtowns across the United States, really across the world, are in transition, right? They're transforming. And I feel, and many feel, that downtowns, unfortunately, the office workers aren't going to come back into downtowns in droves. They're starting to come back, but not like it was. And we feel downtowns are going to transform into centers of arts and entertainment and recreation. And boy, that's what we do as a university. That's really our sweet spot as a university. And we have a world-class conservatory of performing arts. We've always been a major player in, the performing arts and entertainment technology and media. And so we're going to really lean into our strengths, and we have leaned into our strengths around our strategic plan to really, fulfill, that purpose, why we exist. We exist to inspire creativity and imagination through experiential learning. That's our differentiator. And we're doing this all to achieve our vision, that North Star, and that's by becoming one of the most dynamic urban universities in America. And I think we're well on our way right now, but there are some more things that we can do to really be there and be recognized as such.
And for those of you that are not familiar with the city of Pittsburgh, Point Park University is the only university in downtown Pittsburgh today. So in a lot of ways, that also helps kind of reinforce that uniqueness that you're talking about. But I'd say, Chris, I mean, there are some macro factors at play here, right? And you mentioned one of the most critical in some of your earlier comments. There's a national decline in college enrollment of the 18 to 22-year-old, and that's certainly something that's impacting the region that Pittsburgh resides in as well. And how are you thinking about sort of taking those differentiators that you describe to tackle some of the challenges in some different ways so that the university can continue to grow and be vital to the region?
Yeah. So that's, we have these areas of focus, these major initiatives of our strategic plan all outlined. Three of these elements of our strategic plan, three of these major initiatives are drivers. They're going to enable us to fulfill that mission and achieve that vision. And that's around our program excellence, this doubling down. We think we really walk the talk around experiential learning and embracing the downtown, right? And the others through the student experience, treating a truly inclusive environment, a one university campus where, our students, faculty, and staff are immersed and engaged as one community. And then the third major driver is around community engagement. And I can speak to that more, but we also have 3 enablers of this plan, 3 initiatives that are going to enable us to get there. And the first enabler is growth. And so we are going to grow the university. And there's 2 reasons we're going to grow the university. One reason is we believe that we have a product that is in demand, that others want. Yes, we recognize that we are sitting in the Northeast in Pennsylvania, and there is a major shift, a significant decline in traditional aid students. But we are fortunate as a university that we have 6 schools. One of our schools, our Conservatory of Performing Arts, is one of the top conservatories of performing arts in the country, if not one of the tops in the world. And so that school really has a national market. I mean, it's we charge $13,000-14,000 more dollars a year in tuition. We have waiting lists, highly selective to get into. And so we're using that school and the might of that school to market and to attract students from other areas of the country, because we know, and empirically we have evidence that there are other areas of the country that are not suffering this demographic loss of traditional aid students. And some of these areas also lack opportunities to attend a dynamic urban university. So we're in there. We're using the might and attractiveness of our world-class Conservatory of Performing Arts, and we're creating synergies among our other 5 schools to bring prominence and exposure to those other schools. And so that's one of the areas we're going to grow. And we have an outstanding sports, arts, and entertainment management program. There's a synergy there with our conservatory. And there's that theme of entertainment and sports and recreation. We have School of Arts and Sciences. We have civil, electrical, mechanical engineering. We just created a minor in theatrical engineering, which is a unique niche kind of around that area. Our School of Education. Our School of Education is really rising. It is a major, major player now in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, major player, and also becoming a major player nationally. We just created the first ever teaching certification in dance. It was created through our School of Education and our conservatory. So we're doing some very unique things. And so that's one of the ways we're going to grow. The other area of growth is that we know that 1 out of 5 adults in the United States have started a degree, but haven't finished and have a desire to finish that degree. In our mascot, we're the Point Park Pioneers. And we have always been pioneers in providing education for adult learners, non-traditional learners. And so we're going to be doing more things in those areas to go after those adult learners. One, just recently announced, this is groundbreaking. We have a partnership with Bloomberg where we have created a pathway to attract, we've created a solution to address the teacher shortage across the United States. And what we've done is we've created a pathway to attract and enable paraprofessionals working in the K-12 space, K-12 environment, provided a pathway for those paraprofessionals to gain teaching degrees and certifications while they're continuing to work, enabling them to work and giving them academic credit for the excellent work they've been doing in the classroom for years. So that's just an example of, we're here to meet the demands of non-traditional students, adult students, and, providing a very innovative solution to solve a major problem that we're all being faced with.
And I'm extremely excited about the Bloomberg partnership. Small worlds in Pittsburgh collide. My brother-in-law is its president, and I know about some of the work that they're doing. And I think that collaboration and partnership is going to be really unique for your university.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. I mean, our audience is very in tune with the adult learner. So, I'd love to hear just some of the other thoughts that you have about learning for that adult learner who may have finished some school or maybe looking for some sort of a transition to find future career pathways. And I asked that question a little bit more from the lens of economic development, Chris, as you think about, because I think one of the things in answering that, at least that I think a lot about, is how do we make better connections between economic vitality and the adult learner and what they're going to get out of that experience.
Yeah, I think that's one of the benefits of being, the downtown university, and, really embracing that. And, our strategy is all about leverage. I mean, we're creating across all of our schools, we have advisory councils, which are, practitioners in industry who are providing advice on curriculum to all of our schools, evaluating the performance, evaluating the outcomes of those programs, and building relationships and providing opportunities for our students. So this focus on experiential learning, whether you're a traditional age freshman, whether you're an adult learner, we feel that adults learn best by doing. And so this understanding where you're coming from and the experience that you have, and let's translate those experiences and give you credit for what you've done out there. But now let's plug in and let's augment, those gaps and those things that you need, those competencies that you need to develop to get you prepared for a certification or to get you that degree or that advanced degree. And it's doing that, through collaboration with practitioners in industry, being able to apply what you do, out in the quote unquote real world, or they may already be practicing. They may be already a working adult. How can we take what you're doing and augment it and augment and add value to what you're currently doing in your current job? And so, that's what our program, that's our educational programming is all about. And this focus on experiential learning is really critical, I think, to obviously the success of our students, but it's also, the value that we give back to our community. Back to our strategic plan, we have these three drivers, right? It's around our program excellence, experiential learning, embracing the community, all that collaboration. And it's the student experience I talked about. But the third driver there is around community engagement. This is all about giving back to the community. That's where, we're putting a stake in the ground. We're saying, Point Park University can be the catalyst and will be the catalyst in Renaissance 3 in Pittsburgh and the Pittsburgh region, right? And it's about tripartite collaboration with the university, creating that vision, being the catalyst, being the driver, collaborating with government, degrees to skids, provide the support, collaborating with industry, all the might resource of industry. And then there's a quad to this, and that's the philanthropic sector. And we have all of those. And so, we're developing plans on how to revitalize downtown, but it's through giving our students opportunities. We want to have more people living downtown. So we want to grow the conservatory. We want to have more artists. We want to have artists in residence live on our campus. We have we're a collaborator with many other schools, the Pittsburgh Scholar House. There are 300 single parents who have small children who want to start or finish degrees. We want to house those families on our campus. We want them to be part of our university community. So again, now we're preparing people, with degrees and certificates to go out and add value and add value to our region. But we're also, bringing sustainable living on campus. We want to have retirement living on our campus. Where's a better place to retire than in the middle of a university campus in one of the most beautiful cities in North America? So could you imagine if we brought 1,000 more people, sustainable living in downtown Pittsburgh, what that does for the vitality of downtown? And then all while we're doing this, we're giving back. We're creating, recreational, rich opportunities in the arts and entertainment. We want to have a community event center on campus where we have amenities for those additional 1,000 people plus living on campus and members of the community, where they have opportunities to, world-class recreational facilities, athletic performance, artistic performance space. And then some of the other things that we're doing to give back to the community and also provide opportunities for our students to apply what we learn. We've been doing a lot of things. We've been getting a lot of, coverage in the media with some of the things that our PhD program in community engagement has been doing. We've done a study that there's identified that we need to have public restrooms downtown, that there's a need to clean alleyways, and here's how you do it, and here's why you do it. Well, we're going to formalize those activities. We're going to create an institute of community engagement right in the middle of our campus. A storefront right in the middle of our campus to welcome members of the community to collaborate with our students, faculty, and staff to solve some of these problems facing urban areas, to see some of these opportunities that we have before us in these downtowns and these urban areas in our regions. And so it gives our students, faculty and staff, an opportunity to apply what they're learning in the real world. It provides our faculty and staff opportunities for translational research and to do consulting. So these are ways that we are really walking the talk around providing experiential learning opportunities for our students, while simultaneously giving back and hopefully advancing and adding value back to our community.
I love it. I love it. I mean, when you think about the history of Pittsburgh as a medium-sized city, some of the themes that just ring true across generations really do involve innovation and reinvention, right? And I think that's one of the things. Those things don't always work in concert with one another. But I think that Pittsburgh has continually figured out a way to sort of bring those things together. And to me, it sounds like your plan embodies some of what makes this region what it is in bringing those things, together in a way that strikes a great balance. And as I think about that, I mean, as a Pittsburgher and a Pittsburgher, right? When you talk about Renaissance 3, what do you think about? What are some of the things that sort of define Renaissance 3 for you as you think about the urban, sort of reinvention or evolution of our city?
Well, I think that there are probably not many organizations or institutions like a university that can bring vitality to an area, and vitality in a sustainable manner on a consistent basis, right? So that's one of the things I think that a university can really bring to bear. The other is, as a university, we create almost a basic economy where we are importing inputs, and that's hopefully importing students, and we hope that we can retain them here, right? So that's it's like a basic economy, like producing steel. You're taking these inputs and you're producing this value that creates wealth for a region. We can do that. Universities can do that, right? We bring in students from outside of the region, and we add value by educating them, and we add tremendous value and really wealth generation to the entire region if we're able to retain them here. So those are the things that we really want to do. The other thing that we can do to really bring vitality is a university, being a catalyst for Renaissance 3. We think there's an immediate opportunity, around our campus, and using our campus as an anchor. We think there's an opportunity. We'd like to create a cultural corridor anchored on one end of the Golden Triangle by Point Park at the Monongahela River, anchored on the other end of Wood Street. So along the Wood Street corridor, the other end of Wood Street is the Cultural District, the Cultural Trust. I think we're the two largest property owners. Cultural Trust thinks we're the largest. We think they're the largest, but we're the two biggest property owners downtown. And there's a tremendous opportunity there with PNC in the middle. And PNC's all over this, right? There's a tremendous opportunity for us to create this cultural corridor right through the middle of the Golden Triangle, and then connect it to the great developments that's already been done on the North Shore. What an incredible opportunity that we can really bring vitality to the downtown, just take it up to a whole nother level particularly as downtowns, including ours, transform after the post-pandemic, tremendous opportunity. And that vibrancy, boy, another 1,000, we have over 4,000, 5,000 students, and you add another 1,000 students, faculty, staff, vendors, activity around the university. That's pretty powerful. And then, and those students are buying products and services here. They're providing the labor force for a lot of the businesses in this region, and particularly if you're looking at becoming centers of arts, entertainment, recreation, that's a lot of students provide that workforce and provide those services, particularly when you have a strong school in the performing arts and entertainment and technology and media. I mean, that's some of our strong suits, right
So,
here in
Chris,
the downtown.
you got a plan. You have or I should say, you have a vision. You have a plan. I think it's a really exciting one. You also have recognized the need to bring in talented people to help develop and really execute against this plan. I had a chance to meet a new vendor data partner to your university last week, and he's not from the Pittsburgh region. He's from California, and his comment to me was, he said, the thing that struck me, I go talk to colleges and universities every day, is that I was on that campus, and the energy that the leadership team had was kind of palpable. And he said the other thing was he met a number of relatively newly hired leaders that are part of your team who were inspired by the vision and seemed to bring some fresh thinking to what you're trying to do. Can you just talk to me a little bit about, like, as a leader, how you've thought about bringing a team together and some of the new hires that you've made since you've been in the seat?
Yeah, I think leadership's critically important. When I started, I focused on three things. First thing I did was listen. And I established listening sessions right after my first week. Listen. So I spent over a couple months listening across the entire university community to really understand what was going on. And then the second thing is, listening, then really understanding the culture. Because, there's a value chain here, right? Peter Drucker always said that culture will eat strategy for breakfast. You have the best strategy in the world, but if you don't have a culture that's aligned with that strategy, that helps enable the attainment of that strategy is going to go nowhere. And so, we have to work and build on the culture to make sure that happens. And then, strategy turns into, structure and execution. Well, you can't execute a lousy strategy, right? Because you have to have a good strategy. So I focused on listening, understanding the culture, and then leadership. I mean, it takes leadership. It takes, leadership by, number one, I'm a really big fan of Kus Composers. They had a book, The Leadership Challenge. It starts by challenging the process. You have to look at things like, okay, this is great, this is cool, but boy, is there an opportunity to make this even better? That's the mindset. Is, wow, this is cool. Can we make this even better? And it's not being afraid to experiment and take risks. In order to win in a hockey game, you have to shoot the puck. Relation, number of times you shoot the puck and number of times you score. And you're going to make mistakes. And that's okay to make mistakes, but you have to try. And so what we've done is we're doing things significantly, substantively different. And we're expecting different results. And we're starting to get different results. So part of this, I had some opportunities to add some folks to our senior team here at the university, and also a couple other areas of the university, and we've done so. And we've brought in people who are dynamic, out of the box thinkers, who are not afraid to take risks, and who are visionary. And so that's how I know that's how we're going to be able to pull this off. Change management requires, two things in particular, and that's leadership, right? You have to be able to, challenge a process. You have to be able to, develop a shared vision and enable others to, act and get involved in the process. It's all about leverage. It also requires, I think, stakeholder engagement and understanding the importance of stakeholder engagement. And a good example was our strategic planning process. For years, I've been beating into the heads of my graduate students this little equation: I sub E equals QA. The effectiveness of any initiative is the product of two variables: quality times acceptance. And the quality is the easy part. That's what we all went to school for. Okay, do we have the right expertise, experience, resources, blah, blah, blah. That's the easy part. But it's quality times acceptance. You can have the best quality, you can have the best minds develop the best plan, but if people don't buy into it, if faculty don't buy into it, staff don't buy it, it's not going to go anywhere, right? It's two variables. So you're trying to get, a scale of 1 to 10, you're trying to get 10 times 10, not 10 times 0 is 0, right? And so you're trying to optimize that, right? And get that as high as possible. And a good example is our strategic planning process. We had an 18-month process, very rich in stakeholder engagement. So we had all constituents of the university community, even external community, involved in adding to the queue to make sure we had the right experience, the right expertise, the right data, the right resources to figure this out. And they were all engaged in the process, so that elevates the acceptance. And so, there's a concept in the education literature, and it's called hermeneutics. And hermeneutics speaks to this concept, this fact, that oftentimes process is just as valuable, and sometimes it's even more valuable than the end product. And so, that's why, change is hard. Change is always hard. It's not natural for most of us to want to change. But when you have leadership to be the catalyst of the process and get things going and, create that shared vision, inspired others to add to that vision, and enabling other people to act and get engaged, along with a robust stakeholder engagement process, you have a chance to make change so it works and sticks. And that's what we're trying hard to do. And we're having fun while we're doing it, which is even more.
I would say the only thing I would add to your equation is I think energy is a force, an accelerator on that equation, right? If you bring the right energy and you bring the right mindset, if you're thinking about opportunity versus challenge, and you're thinking about solution versus problem, it's incredible what people can achieve together.
That's right. You're right.
Well, so last question from me. What's your legacy in all this? 10 years, 15 years from now, what do you hope people say about it?
Yeah, it's I want to leave this university, and I want to leave Pittsburgh better than I found it. It's my legacy. I love I've come to love Point Park over the years. I was introduced to it over 20 years ago. I love this university. I love what this university is all about. I love what we accomplish as a university. And I also love Pittsburgh. I'm a lifelong Pittsburgher. My mother's side of the family goes back, Revolutionary War, all from this area. And I just love this region. And so what it's all about is leaving something better. And it's, it is, you get older and you've had, we have our war, we have our, war wounds, and we have our gray hair, and we've had our wins and losses over the years, and we've made some money. The thing that's really important is you get I'll speak for myself. I know I'm in the fourth quarter of the game right now, right? I'm in the fourth quarter, and you never know when the clock's going to run out. It's got to, and it's all about how many people can I impact positively before time's out. How many lives can I touch positively before time's out? That's what it's all about, and that's the legacy that my team and I want to leave here. We want to leave this place better than we found it, and we want to leave Pittsburgh and the Pittsburgh region better than we found it. So let's spend this precious time and resource, and let's add some value.
And I'd say this, Chris, I've had the good fortune throughout my life to have spent time with some of the leaders in our region who are older than me, and I can say, through the benefit of time, probably the most consistent thing that I've taken from those interactions is what you just said, which is when I ask them questions about what they want to leave, or even if I don't, they talk about wanting to leave things better than they found it themselves. They talk about service, and they talk about their love of Pittsburgh. And so as one Pittsburgher to another, I just want to thank you for what you're doing. I'm inspired by it, and I would say, and I don't say this frequently. I would say I would count you as somebody who's in that category of Pittsburgh leader. So I appreciate you joining our podcast today. I'm incredibly inspired by what you're doing, and I look forward to not just being here to see your vision come to life, but to see what it does for my kids and their kids in the future.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you very much for the opportunity. We really appreciate it. And one last thing, go Pioneers.
I love it. Go Pioneers. Thank you so much, Chris. Pioneers.